Hey, what's going on? I'm Coach Brian Klepacki here with the Strong by Design podcast. And in this video, you're going to see some of the highlights from a recent podcast episode that I had with Alby Gonzalez. He is an isometric mass expert. And if you want to hear the full episode, you got to go to this link, strongbydesignpodcast.com. Again, this is a great episode that you're going to enjoy, and it's going to actually apply to your training. So check out these highlights. So the only way to get that is bench press, arm curls, and sit-ups. And I was doing that all the time. But like you just said, I mean, to me, that's not weight training. That's bro workouts. That's just wanting to focus on those three muscle groups in order to look good. But then it wasn't until, almost a decade later where I actually learned, okay, there's a whole world of training out there, not just doing some, bench press and some arm curls. So tell more about what you do now, looking back, and the mistakes that you made and how it's evolved into more, isometric functional strength.
We went through the mistakes, and we would probably be here for a few months talking about those. But the biggest mistakes were, again, the bro workouts, just doing these bodybuilding splits, eating tons of calories, not counting my macros, not stretching, things like that. When I was younger, it was real easy for me to get away with things like that, to, I guess you can say, overtrain, maxing out, every week and things like that, because, you're young, your body's producing enough testosterone, and all that. But as you get older, you start realizing your testosterone levels are lower. You start getting those joint pains from all the years of heavy lifting. Your back starts to hurt. And that's when you really need to start taking care of your body, because, it's not going to get any better from there.
Yeah, and you talk more about this in your ebook called Isometric Mass, because you wanted to combine the best of both worlds, good quality training that results in strength gains, but also mass gains while keeping the body nimble, keeping, good size on you, but actually having a good, healthy body. So again, your book is called Isometric Mass.
Right.
It's a great book, by the way, and we're going to plug it in all throughout this podcast. But in creating this ebook, you took all of your information, all of your mistakes, and you pretty much gave it to, again, if you're the only one thinking this way, first of all, you're not, because every guy that's in their 30s, starting to get, into a steady career, kids are growing up. We're getting older.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk more about isometric training for those who don't know. So there's a couple different forms of isometric training, and just quickly give us, a few minutes worth of isometric training and what that actually looks like.
Yeah. So you have overcoming isometrics and yielding. Overcoming is when you're trying to, for example, if you're pushing against a wall, like an unmovable object, and you're contracting the muscle that way and keeping it in place. Yielding isometrics is what I like to do, because you can measure your progress, because you're able to use free weights when you're doing these. The thing that I love about isometrics is you're basically, when you're contracting the muscle as hard as you can, in a still position, you're like recruiting as many muscle fibers as you would, almost as you would by performing like a compound lift. Mm-hmm. But you're not putting your body and your joints through the stress of, let's say, maybe a deadlift or something like that. Now, of course, you're not going to be able to recruit as many as a deadlift, but as far as injury and things like that, there's less chances of you getting injured or putting any wear and tear on your body, and you're still building muscle and strength.
Absolutely, and that's one of the best reasons why you should be doing isometric training. Even if you're a beginner, never exercised before a day in your life, isometric training is a great place to start. But tell the audience how beneficial it is and how it increases muscular growth for those who have been working out for 10, 15, 20 years that would be considered more advanced individuals.
Well, with isometrics, since you're able to recruit more muscle fiber, that's going to promote more growth. But for people who've been working out for a long time, one of the things you've probably already have noticed if you haven't been doing isometrics and you've been doing, the bro splits like I have, is, joint pains and shoulder pain and things like that, where with isometrics, since you're using a lot of contractions and still positions and you're not really using these heavy weights, they're putting all this strain on your joints, that joint pain is going to go away. And one mistake that I've had a lot of my clients do in the past is that they take painkillers when they have these injuries and they end up having to get surgery. And it's because, rather than fixing the root of the problem, they're just masking the pain with these prescription drugs.
Right.
Where if you were to do something like isometrics and kind of veer away from these heavy weights, you can help build your tendons and your strength in that area. That way you don't even have these tears where you have to go get surgery.
Right. All the time.
Right.
So your program, pretty much corrects that mistake.
Yes.
What other mistakes, you talk about the deadliest mistakes people generally make when it comes to working out. And I know some of these are extremely common sense.
Right.
But it's, to me, common sense. It might not be someone else's common sense.
Right. Yeah.
So in short, give us the workout mistakes that anybody should not be making.
Yeah. So I have a few here, but one of them is maxing out. One thing is I always talk to, especially younger guys, with powerlifting and CrossFit and things like that. They're maxing out on a daily basis. The thing is, when you're maxing out, you're putting your body through so much stress. It is, so hard for your body to recover one day from the next from that, So that's one of the biggest mistakes people are doing. They'll max out daily and then they'll say like, oh, my numbers are not going up, or I feel so tired and so weak, and it's because you're just not getting the proper rest. You're taxing your body too much. The other one is bad technique. And this all ties in together. When you fatigue your body like that, and you're still trying to push these heavy weights to get that same feeling, what's going to happen? You're going to go into bad technique, which can lead into injury. You get injured, now you can't train. The depression sets in because now you don't look the same, and
it just goes downhill.
Yeah, it just goes downhill from there. Another big thing is skipping warm-ups. And this is something that I used to do all the time when I was younger. Is just skip my workouts, go right into a working set. And as time went on, I realized like, hey, I can't be doing this. This is how you tear stuff. A great example, a good story is one time is I used to warm up with 225, which is a lot because I weigh 165, but it was my warm-up. Now, I would be able to do it, easily about 15 reps. One day I get on the bench, just like any normal day. I go, all of a sudden I feel my pec kind of tighten up. I immediately racked the weights. And I knew that if I would have kept going, I would have tore my pectoral.
Right. Yeah.
And again, this is something that I would do day in and day out. But mentally I was able to do it. My muscle was able to do it. But my tendon and things like that, sometimes they can't keep up.